When we agreed to foster Sally, we heard she was exceptionally sweet and had lived tied up outside in Puerto Rico. What nobody knew was that she was also full of 8 exceptionally sweet puppies. 15 days after Sally arrived, she had her puppies, who, thanks to As Good as Gold, will never have to live tied up outside.
As transport coordinator, I have been fortunate to have met many wonderful dogs, and many of them have held a special place in my heart. Along with transports in the Chicago area, I often welcome dogs at O'Hare when they arrive from our partner rescue, Love Puerto Rico Goldens. In 2012, As Good as Gold agreed to help Apple, a young dog that had been found in Puerto Rico covered in ticks and extremely sick. As soon as she was able to fly, she came to Chicago so that we could continue her treatments. Even though she was still weak, she happily greeted each of us at the airport with kisses and gratitude. I brought her home and she spent time with my family until she was healthy enough to be adopted into a loving home.
This is our foster dog, Alma. She was a stray on the streets of Puerto Rico when Love Puerto Rico Goldens rescued her. When they took her in, she was in very bad shape. She had no hair on her body and sores that were open all over her. Her skin had a lot of crusty stuff on it, and her tail almost looked like a lizard's tail. She came up to us. She flew into O'Hare on January 31st, which was the coldest part of the winter, especially for a dog with no hair. But she adjusted fairly well to the winter here. We took her the next day to an As Good as Gold vet, and she was put on a number of different medications, and she had to have medicated baths every other day. As you can see, she's doing much better now. She has hair all over her, and it's growing in nicely. And she has about 4 more weeks of treatment left before we can test again to see if the fungal disease is gone. But once we know for sure it's gone, we'll be looking for a forever home for her, where she'll be living a wonderful life thanks to As Good as Gold.
Over the last 13 years, there have been many dogs who have touched my heart, but none have showed the will to live as much as Millie. Millie and her 3 young pups were dumped on the streets of Puerto Rico. Love Puerto Rico Goldens took Millie and her 3 pups in and transported them to us. Upon exam, it was found that Millie had an infected uterus and needed emergency surgery. Her recovery was slow as she developed a severe upper respiratory infection. The infection was so severe that she needed oxygen and round-the-clock care. After 3 days, she was not improving. When I sat with her, I struggled with the decision to let her go and stop her suffering. But Millie would not have that. Slowly, she began to improve. After a week, she was breathing on her own and eating. Rose Barth elected to take her home for the rest of her recovery. She had a few bumps in the road to recovery, but Millie never gave up. The staff at Partners in Paws went above and beyond to care for Millie. Dr. Newman and her daughter Lily spent nights at the clinic caring for her. Even the hospital cat curled up with her at night. On the weekends, Dr. Newman took her home to continue her recovery. To see Millie today is to know that miracles do exist, and Millie's will to live will never let me give up on another dog.
I went crazy in the forest. I was starving, I was helpless, till the wolves let me feed where they fed.
Loxie was a puppy mill dog for the first 5 years of her life. When she was relinquished, she arrived at her foster home totally shut down. She would not eat. She stayed in her dog bed where she ate, slept, and watched the world. It took a full year of patient fostering before she was ready to move on to her forever family. Loxie was adopted last June, and we recently received this video of her, which speaks volumes for how love and patience can bring out the golden in our rescued dogs.
I was fortunate to know Gemma before she came to As Good as Gold. She was an amazing 2-year-old girl. Sweet-natured, calm, well-mannered, the perfect golden everyone dreams of. She had bilateral hip dysplasia and an autoimmune disease called MMM, which attacked the muscles in her head and locked her jaw shut. I was so thrilled to be able to foster her. She was put on very high doses of steroids to help her mouth slowly open. She couldn't yawn like a normal dog or give kisses. She was so tolerant of me feeding her and giving her water through her locked jaw with a syringe. After several weeks, she could finally open enough to eat on her own. She had a wonderful last few months of her life thanks to As Good as Gold. She definitely knew it because her tail never stopped wagging, even after all that she went through. Gemma stole my heart.